Can you hear me now?
All right, we're all set.
Hi, everyone. We are opening the finance meeting is March 4th and it is 5:48. And I would ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And how about Council Member Zalewski lead us in the pledge? We do have a flag right there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Council Members. All right. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully Monica joins us momentarily. I know many of us have some questions about the agenda in front of us. We'll take a quick roll call. Councilmember Gully.
I'm here.
Councilmember Ash McPherson.
Here.
Councilmember Steele.
Present.
Councilmember Cummings.
Present.
Councilmember Zalewski.
Here.
Councilmember McDermott.
Here.
Okay, Council President Mantello, I'm here, and we have all 7 present. The agenda this evening, should these ordinance, let's see, I apologize. We have 1 ordinance, 3 resolutions. Should they be voted, they will go to the regular meeting. So we'll go right into the legislation public forum. No one has signed up. We have no local laws. Ordinance 15, ordinance authorizing settlement of claim to WIC, GEICO Insurance Company, ASO, Sandra Gull, plaintiff versus the City of Troy, Department of Public Works, and Michael Vaness, defendants, Tri-City Court Case, Index Number CV 4427-18. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Council Member Zalewski. Do I have a second? Second. Second, Council Member Gully. Discussion. They can't hear you. No discussion? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? 7-0. Ordinance 15 passes. Councilmember Ash McPherson is on the other side of the room, and she seconded the motion. So I told her, I can hear you, but others can't. So just unmuted. That's fine. Resolution 17, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Niagara Mohawk Power Corp. To purchase city streetlights. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zalewski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. And I would like, Mayor, is Monica having a tough time getting in, or do you want to run with this? There she is. Hello. There she is. Hi, Monica. Hi. I'll let you get settled, but we are on resolution 17. And I figured once you get settled there, if you could dive in, maybe give us a briefing on the 4,100 or so streetlights and what we're doing this evening. Thank you.
Sure. So this is for, you want me to just hit both of them while I'm on it?
Perfect.
Okay, so the first document is actually the purchase of the streetlights. It's a pretty standard from what we've talked to. Corporation Council actually spoke to Clifton Park, the counselor up there. It's a pretty standard agreement. Siemens hasn't seen very much movement on it. It does talk about the process between now and closing, which happens after the PSC approval, so up to 6 months from now. About making sure to finalize the audit and the streetlights and the number of them and all that other kind of stuff before the final closing. So we have done we've done an audit, they have done an audit, we've married the two together, worked out the idiosyncrasies, but then again, we'll continue to do that while we go through this process. The purchase price is in there. That is an estimate at this point in time, a fairly good estimate. It is reduced as we talked about earlier in the year, earlier last year, I guess now. It is reduced about a couple $100,000 from the original purchase price. And that is after the PSC change in formulary that caused them to do the redo on the formula to give us the new makeup. So this is just a standard National Grid contract to purchase the streetlights. Once we have them, once we close, they will be ours, and we will immediately begin work to switch over the streetlights to LEDs. And that'll take approximately 3 months to do all 4,100.
Monica, is the $4,085,000 in addition to the $109,000, and then there's the security for separation of work in the contract, the proposed?
Yeah, so those are all, so the security is essentially like a security deposit until the process is complete.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll open it up for members.
Oh, and let me just, the second agreement.
sure. Yep.
The second agreement is the lease agreement, and that is for all of the wooden pole structures. So the traditional utility poles that you see out there, any metal poles will be ours. Any wooden poles that have, National Grid lines, the Verizon and Charter lines on them, those we'll have to pay a lease, like a rental rate for that per month, per year, per light fixture. And that's what that agreement is. And that agreement is also in the pro forma that we put forward to you guys multiple times now. We've incorporated that cost into the pro forma for the energy, or for the peak performance agreement.
Council President.
Yeah, I know quite a few people have questions. Councilmember Ash McPherson.
Monica, on the wooden poles, you're saying we're going to be paying for those lights, the LED lights, correct?
So we'll buy the equipment, but we have to lease the space from National Grid, just like
On the wooden poles.
on the wooden poles, just like Verizon and Charter do.
Do you know how many on the wooden poles we'll be leasing?
I could probably get that number for you. I don't have it off the top of my head, but it's about what was it, $30,000, I think it was, for that on an annual cost.
Is it per light, or is it, that's what I'm asking, how many?
It's
how
per
many wooden?
It's per location. I can get you the number. I just don't have it on me right now.
I'm just trying to find out, we have, how many wooden poles are going to have lights on that we're going to be leasing?
Anyone that's out there now will be a lease. So what I'll do is I'll see if I can get you an actual number of them, but it's the 4,100 streetlights incorporates those poles too. That's a total number, including the.
I'd just like to know how many on the wooden.
Sure. I don't have that number now. I'll have to get
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
Yes.
That's okay. That's fine. Okay,
But
thank
it's
you.
included in the total project.
No more questions? Councilmember Ash McPherson?
Right now, I'm all set.
Okay. Other council members? Monica, I have one question. When will the old poles come down? I know that in certain places they have come down. In some places we'll see 2 poles, the wooden. They're replacing some of those, I guess.
So you're talking about like when they place a new pole?
Correct.
Okay, so that, it's funny, we were just on a conversation with Charter today and we were talking about that specifically. So when you see an old decrepit pole and they've determined that it needs to be replaced, so usually it could happen one or two ways. We've seen either National Grid takes a proactive measure and does the replacement themselves, or perhaps it might be like, say it's Verizon wants to come in and set a small cell or something like that on top, and then they'll actually proactively replace it on behalf of National Grid. They all apply for permits and we review all of that. So what happens is, so National Grid will do that. It creates a job ticket, and then the job ticket goes out to Time Warner and to Verizon. And what it does is they go into succession. So they go from National Grid is the top pole. So when you're looking at a pole, especially like a primary pole, you'll see National Grid at the top.
Mhm.
Charter is second, so your internet is second, or your cable, and then below that is Verizon. So once the last person, so typically Verizon, once they are off their pole, then it's their responsibility to yank the pole, and then they take the pole out. talking to Charter today, because I know that was one of the challenges. If you remember off of Winter Street, back when we first started, remember Winter Street had double set poles for a really, really long time.
Yep.
So we talked about that, and he said it typically for Charter, they do the transition within 60 days. If they're really busy, typically it takes about 90 days for that ticket to get from start to finish. So technically, it probably should take anywhere from 2 months to 6 months completely to get all of the utilities offset onto the new pole, and then they pull the second pole.
Okay.
So we
and-
won't necessarily have to reset ours. We're just going to change out the fixture. We won't reset a new pole. We're just going to work on the fixtures.
And the agreements with National Grid, what's Siemens' role in all of this?
Oh, total
They-
advisor. Total advisor. I mean, they have their legal help us with it. They have their review of it. Remember, they do this on a national level basis, not only just in New York State, but they also take the information they've done across Massachusetts and other states and bring it to us. So they've been totally an advisor. They've actually nudged because they are watching what other municipalities are doing through the PSC and how long those timeframes have taken place. During the whole pause when they were getting the new formulary from the PSC when National Grid was, we continued to nudge them. COVID hit, it was really hard. So we continued to nudge them again. And Bob was, Bob had dealt directly with Shad a lot of times, and Shad would respond on our behalf for him. So just to kind of nudge for us.
Mhm. Okay. And we see this, the replacement happening over the next, did you say 3 years or 4 years?
Oh, no. So if we sign this tonight, we'll get this over to National Grid. When it'll actually start the clock at that point in time. Once we deliver to National Grid, they have up to 3 months to turn it around to PSC. And then at PSC, there's a 2-month mandatory public comment period. And then hopefully before that, they have up to 3 months as well, I believe. And so hopefully between, August, September, we'll be changing lights, and it takes 3 months to change all the light fixtures, not 3 years.
I was going to say, like,
3 months.
thank you.
Yep, about 3 months.
Okay.
Obviously weather dependent because we're going to be snaking in on fall. So the 108 lights that we already passed with the budget when we did, remember the CDBG areas that we talked about before with Siemens on that other phase.
Mhm.
So they're actively working on those right now. So that's a separate project. So that's outside of this circle. And we were able to keep those 100 lights out of the purchase price so that we didn't necessarily double buy them or increase our purchase price on the other ones because it's an average. So we wanted to make sure that we held, that's why it took so long, is because we wanted to hold those back so it didn't skew the purchase price for the other, 4,000 lights that we were already working on.
Any other
President?
questions? Sure, Councilmember Cummings.
Let's see. So I got the debt information that Andy sent. Thank you, Andy. I didn't see the 4.8 million reflected in that. So I just wanted to clarify where that money is coming from and how the payback of that works.
So the pro forma that I sent out on that memo reflects all 3 phases of the Siemens project. So what I did was so phase 1, which is, I would say, probably 95 to 99% done, was facility improvements. Phase 3 is ongoing now. Phase 2 is the streetlights. All the savings for the project come from the streetlights. So everything's just aggregated together to make it easier to follow that when you combine all 3, there will be net savings to the city over the life of the payback schedule.
Great. Yeah, so the section that talked about the streetlights had an initial issuance of $645,000. I assume that's for the actual conversion of the streetlights.
Wasn't the 645,000 the NYSERDA benefit and the
Correct.
the FRB?
Yes.
So those are actually grant opportunities. Those are essentially revenues, not expenses, I believe.
Okay.
Correct. So everything on the left on that sheet. Yeah, so the 611,000 is NYSERDA grants and the FRB money. Project costs. So the project as it stands right now for phase 2 for the streetlights is going to be financed through Siemens, which is the same as phase 1. So what happens is they front the cost essentially. And then, well, this one that you're looking at is the phase 3 that was passed in, the 645,000 was phase 3 that was just approved. This is the sheet that consolidates down all the other projects.
So the
Just-
4 million is reflected in this
Oh,
debt
thank-
cost column
Yes.
over
So
time?
yeah. So just so that everyone understands, phase 1 and phase 2 are being financed as installment purchase debt essentially, where Siemens Financial is carrying the debt for that piece. That was approved in August of 2019.
Right.
Phase 3, because there are certain components of phase 3 that are not eligible to be in a installment purchase agreement of this nature with Siemens, that's why there were bond resolutions with the 2021 budget process.
Understood. So that merely reduced or used some of the savings, but this 4.8 million is budgeted into what Siemens pays up front, but we pay them back in this debt cost column
Yes.
over time. Okay,
Correct.
great. That makes sense. Thank you.
We also wanted, it was good for you to ask for the pro forma, because when we gave you the pro forma previously, it was the Siemens pro forma, and then with that third phase, we actually self-financed on it. So we wanted to make sure that, because that document is our guaranteed savings document, of which that peak performance agreement is based on. So we wanted to make sure that with our internal financing versus what they're financing for us, we wanted to make sure that the numbers gelled so that we had an agreement with Siemens that was going to be the final document.
Councilmember Cummings, do you have more questions?
He's thinking really hard right now.
I can see
Really
that.
thinking hard.
Thank you for bringing that chart,
Am I
Councilmember.
frozen?
There he is.
Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you.
Sorry about
He was thinking so hard he froze.
He froze. You're back.
we'll see.
Don't move.
I'll just say Lighting Research Center and let you talk.
Yep, I was already ready to come out.
I knew that
So-
was coming.
Yeah, so I knew too. So the Lighting Research Center, we're still trying to engage with them. We reached out to Dan and the other guy, and I don't remember his name at the moment, maybe John, I'm not sure, but we reached out back to them. I asked Shad to pull together, especially as we're doing those 108 lights. We have lights in Lansingburg, we have lights in South Troy, 2 very different areas, but it was a good opportunity for us to be able to take and look at lighting levels, look at the color, and be able to do that ahead of the purchase and the switch over, like say come September, because then we can finally determine what actual color we want. And maybe it might be 2 different styles too. It might be brighter lights or lesser lights in different areas. So we'll be able to do that work. We definitely want to engage with the LRC as far as the community outreach part of this and make sure people, whether it's a survey or I don't know, whatever they want to do. But we'll certainly, and I know Shad reached back out to him this week. Now that we're at this stage, just to kind of full circle back with them, just to see where they're at. I do know after talking to Chris Nolan last week that they're down some staff at the Lighting Research Center. So I want to make sure that's why I had Shad reach out just in case we got a little bit behind because of that. So we're still committed to working with them. I think it's a good partnership. I think it's a get to town and gown in addition to a scientific look at it as well too. So, so we'll see.
Great. Yeah, as everyone who's encountered LED headlights knows, they can be great light and they can also be sized wrong. If I assume obviously Siemens brings a lot of expertise to the table, but
Well, there's
those will be
also other
important
technology
decisions to
besides
involve a lot of
LED.
stakeholders in.
Yeah, there's also other technology outside of LED as well too. Stuff that works better in cameras, stuff that's better at night light. You know what I mean? So we have that option to kind of be able to explore a little bit with that too.
Right. The efficiency of LEDs is good. If you're dimming them with pulse width modulation, it can destroy camera footage.
Yeah. So one thing that I did, I know we've always been kind of, I probably hadn't been, and I will admit this, I haven't probably been crystal clear on the technology on the new fixtures that are going to be installed. And we talked about jumping into the smart city kind of stuff. What I will tell you is this initial transition from where we're at right now, the sodiums to the LED, we will have a smart node on those fixtures. And we have a program, and they're actually going to start building the program for us now, so ahead of the actual flip over. And what that will do is that light, if it goes out or something happens to it, it's actually going to tell us. So in addition to any night surveys we might do, just in case of glitches or whatever, we'll also have that technology ability to actually know ahead of time if there's a light on Campbell Avenue off or on 6th Avenue in North Central. It will tell us and it'll let us know. So that is going to be on the get-go.
That's great.
And that will be the building block for the other stuff that we work on down the road.
Councilmember Cummings, could you just, if everyone knows about, that's fine, but the Lighting Research Center, I know that you're super hot on, this issue. Can you explain to us like the benefits of partnering with them and what they bring to the table and who they are? I know
Sure.
they're at the RPI.
Briefly, if my connection remains.
Jump in if not.
Certainly, I think they are internationally known experts on understanding the effects of light on the human environment, and in particular have done quite a few studies on the importance of consistent lighting. When it comes to lighting quality, you can have, it's just as bad to have a bright spot, because then when you go through that bright spot, your eyes adjust to the bright and everything else then seems dark. And so they did a lot of research on that importance of consistency. They also have done a different part, the part that seems to have largely moved to, I forget where, but several staff members recently left. But those are folks that focus on the health impacts of light. And in particular, things like folks I'm sure are aware of the effects of blue light and how that can keep you awake at night and things like that. There are some places where that's helpful. On a highway, you want to be keeping people awake, but in a neighborhood, you might not want to have a tone that's disrupting everyone's ability to get to sleep. So there's various important factors when you're designing a lighting for a neighborhood. And then there's also very cool things you can do with the optics on the lights to distribute that light evenly. Again, so you don't get hot spotting, you get a much more even lighting across a street, which just makes everyone feel safer. If there's not a dark patch around the corner, that's really where you get feelings of being unsafe in a neighborhood. So I know they've done a lot of good research on that. The other thing that they offer is that at least a couple years ago, I don't know where it stands at this point, they had some funding from NYSERDA in order to help communities with public outreach and with sort of before and after surveys and making sure that the lighting quality is meeting the expectations of the neighbors and the people in the community. So they have some good sort of social science expertise helping guide communities in getting good outcomes for the residents.
Okay. Thank you. And they work with other municipalities, I take it?
Certainly, yeah. They work all over the country, but certainly through this contract with NYSERDA are working with a few other municipalities. I believe they're working with a few other municipalities already.
Okay. Do they also apply for grant funding on behalf of the muni or?
So this program, they have grant funding that they are basically able to spend time, consultant time for various municipalities. So they already have that grant. They're able to just work with their NYSERDA liaison and sort of spend that time on various municipalities. Again, I don't know, that was a couple of years ago, so I don't know how much of that time they have left. But it'll be, obviously their expertise is worth it regardless in the scope of this project.
Do other council members have questions?
Hey, Council President.
Sure, Council Member Zalewski.
Monica, I guess I'm just wondering, is this how it's always done where the municipality purchases the lights, or like, why is National Grid not motivated just to replace their old lights with modern ones themselves, which would save their customers money and, you know, would put less stress on the grid?
So no, so I mean, the initiative to do the ability for municipalities to purchase their streetlights was just to kind of break up the monopoly a little bit, but also to give municipalities a little bit greater freedom in how they manage those. Yes, we could have gone with National Grid and paid about $500,000 to have them switch out their LEDs, and we were going to have to pay them to do that. But at the end of the day, and where you're seeing that savings on that pro forma is every time we have a utility bill from National Grid for our streetlight utility bill for them, we pay what's called a facility charge. And that facility charge can be upwards to 60% of your bill. So if we say we're spending $1 million a year on streetlights, potentially $600,000 of that is what if money. What if somebody hits it? What if somebody runs into it? What if you know, what happens if? It's like an insurance policy for them.
I was going to say it's insurance, yeah.
Right. So what we did, so by doing that, we just now pay for the electricity. We just pay the demand now. We just, not the demand, but we pay for the usage of the utility. Now we own the infrastructure. We can, instead of waiting, listen, I sent a call in for People's Avenue number 13 and 14 again this week. And you know, it's been over a year waiting for those poles to come in. Now there is a backlog on poles, as we all know from Campbell and Spring Avenue, but at the same time, you know, now that's us. You know what I mean? Now that's our responsibility. We don't have to rely on National Grid trying to service all of New York, you know what I mean? Trying to figure that out. So that becomes our responsibility. And that contract, that pro forma that you have actually includes 5 years worth of management costs for that and maintenance costs for that. So we would enter into a contract. The first year is covered by a warranty. And then the subsequent years are all, we've built in money for a contract for that maintenance. But also keep in mind that the biggest thing I can tell you about this project, and having listened for 8 years, almost 9 years now, to the residents and dealing with it ourselves, is the inequality of the light itself. Like my light out front of my house is a yellow light, but down the street is a white light. And, you know, and they're all installed at different times. They're all fixed at different times. Come September or October, when we have all these lights in place, or maybe November, the entire city should be completely lit the same. Unless we choose to differentiate colors or lighting styles or something. The entire city is going, 4,100 lights of the city will have the same lifestyle, like the useful life of them, you know what I mean? So it's a pretty awesome opportunity for us. But the reason being is we felt that we were going to get more savings by going this avenue, being able to self-manage them, than we were going to be able to just have National Grid do it.
Well, that was going to be my next question.
Hard.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, is did anyone do the side-by-side analysis of that? So
we did. We started out actually in that direction. And then once we got talking to other municipalities and looking at other systems, we looked at NYPA. NYPA was going to do a very similar program, but NYPA doesn't do, at that point in time, NYPA didn't do the plus stuff, like the plus one, you know, with the energy efficiency improvements. At that point in time, they were just strictly the street lights. So we've checked out NYPA, we've checked out just doing a flip with just National Grid. In fact, in their purchase letter, when they send you the offer letter, it actually has a dollar amount at the bottom of what they are willing to give you, or what they want you to pay as an off chance you might want to just maintain it in them. So,
okay.
And some municipalities.
And these lights should, I mean, LEDs generally last a lot longer than these alternative types of lighting. So do you happen to know what the average life of these particular lights that the city is purchasing will have?
So that's what we have not chosen the actual street light yet, what we're going to switch yet, because that's part of that analysis that we want to do with the Lighting Research Center. So it will dictate, but I would say probably anywhere from 5 to 10 years would be a useful life. They used to be maybe 5 to 7 years. They probably are a little bit longer now. But, you know, we'll determine the final product, whether it's an LED or maybe it's a different type. There is a different program out there that outside of LED that is something that we explored and sent over to them. The other big thing too is because there are NYSERDA incentives for this, we want to make sure that whatever fixture we do choose actually matches up and equals up to NYSERDA and their grant program too.
Yep. Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Council President.
Councilmember Ash McPherson, yes.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor,
Yeah.
are we, when we purchase all these lights and the poles, they're all ours. We're responsible for all the repairs for them?
Yep. We'll have a maintenance contract.
And we'll have a maintenance contract for National Grid to do the repairs, or we ourselves do the repairs?
No, we'll have a third-party contract. We'll put it out to bid and have somebody, whoever, it could be somebody like remember T&J that used to be up in Lansingburg? You know, I know they do big work like that. You'll have to have somebody who's got the skills for it, so the scope of work to be developed for it, but we would actually go out to bid and have a maintenance contract. And we're also talking to other municipalities, like say if Waterville decides to do this project or some other municipality decides to purchase theirs, we can actually create a master agreement and then we pull their information underneath ours. So we're going to be the biggest municipality in the county, obviously. So if, say, I don't know, Brunswick's decided to buy theirs, you know, we could take their, however many they have, say they have 500, and we can umbrella them under our package, and then they just pay their portion of it, and they get the benefit of, you know, a larger volume.
So once we do this, National Grid is done with the streetlights.
Yep.
And even when they're on the wooden poles, they're done with any repairs to those as well.
Yep.
And that's where we're gonna have to do an RFP to get a company
A bid.
for them.
A bid. Yep.
Okay. Thank
Not
you.
an RFP. We'll do a bid.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Thank you.
Quick couple questions as we rolled along here. First of all, obviously this is huge for the city of Troy, and I know other municipalities have been successful doing this. One of the things is training included. Monica, I did notice some other municipalities, Siemens is actually training some of the employees, but we're actually looking to farm that out. So our employees will not be maintaining the lights in any way in terms of changing the bulbs or anything like that, or would that be part of the maintenance? Because I did notice other munis like Clifton Park, Siemens actually trained their employees.
And that's something we can explore. Right now, we're doing a third party. You know, I have to be sensitive to the department and the size of the department. I mean, I literally have a traffic department of 5. You know, and Bill Wangler handles all the traffic lights. He handles, you know, any city lights, you know what I mean, on top of like stuff that we own anyway. So he's certainly more than capable. I think and nothing against, I just don't know for sure right now. He might have the certification because he did work for Grid at one point in time. So we just want to make sure everybody, whoever we do have working on those, especially if it's an instance where it's a low piece and they're able to just change the light bulb out, that they have the ability to that they have the certification to do it. It's something we can certainly explore, but I was being sensitive to the fact that we have 5 guys who are literally, they're the ones who paint the streets. They're the ones who are changing the traffic lights. They're the ones who are posting all the signs.
Yep.
They just don't have capacity at this point.
Yeah, and you know, if you think about Clifton Park, I think had like 400 and something streetlights, where we have 4,100 streetlights. So
and they probably have 10 people in their traffic department versus our 5, and we have like 15
yeah,
signs.
exactly. And just switching over to the debt, Andy, they're through bands, correct? Where did he? Oh, there he is. Sorry. They're through bands, and the annual cost, what will that be to the city?
So phase 2, which is the legislation tonight, is going to be financed as of now through Siemens Financial Services. So it immediately essentially goes to long-term debt, which has its advantages and disadvantages. That's part of the analysis we did in 2019 to go the route through Siemens Financial. When looking at all 3 phases combined, I'm projecting that the annual debt costs they'll fluctuate with the majority of the time period ranging from 1.2 million to 1.6 million dollars. But again, the savings from the project itself, with the exception of 3 years pay for itself.
Okay. I thought I saw $500,000 Siemens is guaranteeing a year, but you think it'll be more than that?
So Siemens's pro formas showed that aggregate between all 3 phases, the city will save money in totality and annually, with the exception of 3 years, one of which is a $2,900 loss.
Okay. Well, it's, certainly exciting. Yes. Somebody wanted to speak? No? Okay. Cool. Any further questions? Okay. All right. Well, we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution 17 carries 7-0. Resolution 18, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a license agreement with Niagara Mohawk Power Corp for customer-owned street and area lighting attachments to company utility poles and structures. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Make a motion?
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, resolution 18 carries 7-0. Resolution 19, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a real property tax agreement with Rensselaer County. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion. Want to fill us in, Andy or Monica, or the mayor?
Go ahead, Andy. Property tax billing?
Fair. So this is the agreement for us to bill this county's property taxes. It covers it expired with the conclusion of the 2019 fiscal year. This agreement is for 2020's fiscal year through 2025's. There really were 2 substantial changes within the agreement. The first is there was a cleanup of language as to how the foreclosure process works within the city. All the changes in that section were based off of the city's charter and code. So just to reflect that. And then for fiscal years 2021 through 2025, there's an increase in the collection fee that the city receives from the county. For 2020 and before, it was 0.5% of total collections is being increased to 0.75% of total collections. All the other terms within the agreement remained unchanged.
Okay. I do know, was a council member Cummings or council member Zaluski asked for some backup at the last meeting, or was that stretched?
I think that was for the sales tax info. right?
Correct. Yeah,
And this is the property, this is different, this is property
Right.
tax, so.
right. Did you get the sales tax? I was just curious.
No, I think my question was just about, I think, well, forget who it was that said that the county doesn't maintain the records of all the, I was trying to figure out what is Troy's contribution to sales tax and then how much we're getting back. Again, this is not really this particular piece of legislation, but
Right.
my gut tells me that Anasha and I probably had a big debate on this one. My gut tells me that that other municipalities such as East Greenbush and North Greenbush are probably generating more in sales tax because of the huge retail outlets that are there, especially East Greenbush has the Target and the Walmart and all of that. So it's just, I was just wondering, like, are we getting back more than what we put in, less than what we put in, just about the same? But I forget who it was that I talked to that said we don't really have those numbers. I don't know if it was the mayor or deputy mayor, but
Yeah.
I haven't gotten anything on it. So
You want to discuss that now or when we pull that legislation up?
Yeah, we could do it after.
Yeah.
I was just curious. I didn't know if you had gotten that information. So I know it's, not directly related to this one. I figured we were in finance and I would ask.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one, as far as I could tell, the only difference here is that we're getting a 1/4% more than we were. Is that correct, Andy?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, any questions, discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, resolution 19 carries 7-0. We now have a little bit of a break. I underestimated the National Grid conversation. I truly apologize. I could have scheduled it a little later. I thought that we would talk about that a little more. So I will take a motion to adjourn. We'll come back at 7.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Councilmember Zaluski, and second,
Thank you.
Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion on the motion to adjourn. Let's go eat. I can. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, just so folks know, housekeeping, right at 7. I'm gonna go right into it. I told Mara after the roll call. Kathy Sheehan will be with us. I'll go into the legislative address. I'll get that done. Kathy Sheehan will talk 5 minutes, women's history, and then we'll go into the legislation. Okay? All right. See you in 25 minutes.
Are you canceling the Zoom, Mara, or are we leaving it up?
I'm gonna leave it going because I'm not sure. I'd have to send you all a new link, so we're
Yeah,
just gonna
let's
let
not do
so
that.
I would say everybody mute and turn off your cameras,
Thank you.
except Carmela, I'm gonna turn off your camera for you from here, okay?
Okay, thanks.
But mute yourself from there.
Monica, good call.
Yeah, and then I can't,
So weird.
I don't understand why,
So weird.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to my.
Okay. $6:59.
We're down the council president's address. She was going to be starting.
This is the longest minute, I think. There we go. 7 p.m. Good evening, everyone. I'm here to open up the Tri-State Council, our council meeting. It is March 4th and it is 7 p.m. I would ask my council colleagues to join us on video, and I'll give them a chance. Okay. Councilmember Ash McPherson is on the other side of the room. I'm waiting on Councilmember Zaluski, Councilmember Steele, Councilmember Cummings. We have Councilmember Gully. Councilmember Gully, will you please lead us in the pledge?
Council President, we use a flag right behind you.
Absolutely. Councilmember Gully, are you on mute? You're on mute.
I was just practicing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mara, can you take a roll call, please? We lost Mara. That's not good. She is connecting, I can see. We need our clerk. There she is.
Okay, I'm back.
right.
Sorry about that. I didn't hear any audio. Are we ready to
Okay, no
start?
problem. Roll call, please.
Okay. Councilmember Gully,
Here.
Councilmember Ash McPherson,
Here.
Councilmember Steele,
Present.
Councilmember Cummings,
You're on mute. He is here.
okay, I can see him, so I'm gonna take that as an aye. Okay. Councilmember Zaluski,
I'm here.
Councilmember McDermott,
Here.
Council President Mantello.
I am here.
7 present, none absent.
Okay, I'm going to go right into the Tri-State Council legislative response and address. All of you should have an email copy right now. Thank you all so much for joining me live and virtually this evening at the annual City Council President's Legislative Address. Joining us this evening are my fellow council colleagues, Councilmember Gully, Ash McPherson, Councilmember Steele, Councilmember Cummings, Councilmember Zaluski, my pro tem, and Councilmember McDermott, Mayor Madden, Deputy Mayor Kuzieski, Comptroller Petrowski, Corporation Counsel Morrissey, and City Clerk Mara Drogan. And to the great people of Troy, I am honored and humbled to be your first directly elected council president. I want to thank the people of Troy for placing their trust in me. As we continue our work to get through this pandemic, our patience, endurance, and strength has been tested. This past year has been one of the most challenging years in our lifetime for many of us, whether it be the loss of a loved one, financial setbacks, or emotional distress. COVID-19 has changed our lives forever. However, we have persevered together as a city because we are Troy strong. With vaccine distribution increasing weekly and spring just a few weeks away, we are finally turning the corner on this crisis. A huge thank you to all Troy residents who have been so patient and those who continue to practice safety guidelines during this pandemic. You rock and keep rocking. A couple weeks ago during the World Read Aloud Day, I was honored to have virtually read to my alumni elementary school, Rensselaer Park, 4th grade class. During the question and answer period, one of the students asked me, why do I live in Troy and why haven't I left? My answer was simple. It's the people. I have traveled the state and visited hundreds of cities, towns, villages, and while each municipality has great people, there are none that are more passionate and dedicated to their community than Troy residents. And this pandemic has truly shown the strength of our people, with dozens of mass food distribution drives for hundreds of Troy residents, countless charity events, and neighborly love. During the early days of this crisis in March and April, we recognized that the fiscal damage to our local economy would be severe, devastating the small businesses and restaurants, which are our backbone of our community. We knew that our local anticipated budget revenues, such as sales tax, state aid, and other city revenues, would be dramatically reduced and cut. But I'm proud to say, unlike so many other communities, we came together to face the challenges. The city council, the mayor, and the administration pulled together as one. Putting politics aside, we worked together immediately to reduce spending, institute a hiring freeze other than public safety and public health, put various projects on hold, and other necessary budget actions. We met constantly and together, and we worked to ensure that the costs of the COVID-19 shutdown would not be passed onto the already burdened taxpayer and resident. A shout out to Comptroller Petrowski and his team for timely financial reports and on call whenever needed regarding fiscal issues. Thank you, Andy. I am pleased to say that a year later, while the city may be facing a deficit due to these actions, I'm cautiously optimistic about our future. Early on during the pandemic, the City Council unanimously passed a resolution imploring our federal representatives to work together to pass a stimulus package for direct aid to all municipalities of all populations. Today, thanks to Senator Schumer, we are on the verge of realizing a significant federal relief package. While we are hopeful, no matter the outcome, the City Council and I will continue to be the taxpayers and residents' fiscal watchdog, providing that fiscal transparency and checks and balances. I will continue to work hard to ease the burden of taxes and fees on the residents of our city. And I pledge to continue being a watchdog for your pocketbook and serve as an appropriate check and balance. The tax burden shifted to the residents and taxpayers through regressive taxes and fees, such as the garbage and the bulk trash fee, must end. They hurt the very people in the city who are least able to absorb new costs, which is why I will continue to oppose them. That is why I continue to oppose the pay-as-you-throw garbage plan. While COVID put the plan on hold for 2021, the mayor has indicated his intention to move forward with this proposal for 2022 implementation. Yes, we need to encourage and incentivize more recycling, but a pay-as-you-throw plan is not the answer. As I've stated many times, I will not support the pay-as-you-throw proposal. I believe it encourages illegal dumping, results in higher fees, and steers more homeowners to private haulers. Another initiative put on hold due to COVID was a study to relocate City Hall. I'm pleased that the mayor is committed to once again moving forward with this proposal. I've been championing this issue for years. I'm here now, actually. It's time to finally cut the cord, and Troy deserves our own City Hall. I look forward to working with the mayor and the administration on this project. We need less fees and taxes, but we also need fairness. In 2018, the New York State Comptroller's Office issued a report stating that the Troy Redevelopment Foundation, which is comprised of the major tax-exempt properties in our city, it includes RPI, St. Peter's Health Partners, Emma Willard, and Russell Sage. This has not increased its $450,000 contribution to the city in over 20 years. This is not acceptable. This is not fair. Tonight, I'm once again announcing that I will sponsor legislation appointing a bipartisan city council special committee per section C12 of the Troy City Charter to explore establishing a public safety fee for the Troy Redevelopment Foundation. This is the model we use successfully to advance the City Hall relocation issue. My hope is that this special public safety fee council committee will have the same success. As I said, it was put on hold due to COVID last year. This past year was an extremely tough public safety year for our city with increased gun violence and neighborhood violence. We lost precious youth this past year, and my heart continues to go out to their parents and family. We must, as a city, do everything humanly possible to protect our children and our residents. To quote a police official last week at a public forum for our city's police reform and reinvention collaborative, last year was one of the most violent years I have seen in my 26 years on the force. While Troy was not the only city to see a major increase in violence this past year, as municipalities in the capital region and across our state saw similar increases, we must reverse this trend. That's why Councilmember Ash McPherson and I proposed a regional joint federal, state, county, and city task force targeting hotspots throughout the capital region to weed out these violent criminals and gangs. While a formal regional task force was not developed, there are federal, state, and local efforts happening underway. Just last week, federal, state, and local law enforcement executed multiple search warrants in Troy, seizing stolen merchandise, blank credit cards, body armor, a ghost gun, and approximately $20,000 in US currency. These efforts will only continue building as we work with our second to none Troy Police Department to take back our streets and rid these evil criminals. Last summer, we saw over 11,000 people from Troy and the capital region march the streets of Troy in a peaceful protest following the death of George Floyd, calling for peace and unity. As many of you know, the governor mandated that municipalities across the state adopt a police reform and reinvention plan by April 1st. I'm proud to be on the Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative with so many other dedicated members of our community. A plan will be passed by April 1st. However, Troy's Police Reform Initiative began last summer and will continue long beyond April 1st. Our goals continue to be building trust, respect, inclusiveness, and transparency. These are common goals we all want. I promise to continue to listen, and moving forward, we will and can be one Troy. Police surveillance cameras have been a huge priority of mine and my city council colleagues. The council funded the upgrade to the network for the present surveillance cameras to fully function all the time. And the council will continue working to ensure that additional mobile surveillance cameras are placed in hotspots throughout our neighborhoods. While surveillance cameras are not a panacea, they are an essential tool in tackling crime and violence in our city. Along with surveillance cameras, body cameras for our police officers is another one of my major priorities. Body cams are a win-win for the community and police. Body cam training for our officers happened over the last few weeks, and our officers will be in body cam gear any day. In addition to working with the deputy mayor, the council funded 2 new youth coordinators who are being hired within the next few weeks. Enhancing our youth programs is a huge piece of the puzzle to tackle our neighborhood violence. And we continue to work with our neighborhood organizations to keep our kids active. The City Council is committed to continue partnering with our many dedicated volunteers throughout our city to provide after-school programs, movie nights, basketball and boxing programs, block parties, and several more activities. I'm a proud daughter of a retired Troy police officer and detective, a proud aunt of a present Troy police officer, and a proud sister-in-law to a state trooper. My dad walked the beat downtown, North Central, and the Burg. Everyone knew my dad, and he knew everyone, and he still knows everyone. While I'm not suggesting to go back in time to 20 or 30 years ago, although it may have been a much more simpler and loving time, there was a mutual respect and trust between community and police. We can and we will rebuild that bond here in Troy. I continue to work hard to enhance our community policing program. That's why Council Members Gully, Ash, McPherson, and I proposed 2 additional community police officers this past budget cycle, so we could have 1 community police officer in each of our zones, 4 zones. Unfortunately, this proposal was voted down, but we will not give up working to get more community police officers in our neighborhoods. These officers are critical in building that trust and community relationship. Additionally, I will continue working to implement a Park Walk and Talk program and adopt a COP initiative, supporting the critically important school resource officers who are mentors and sometimes social workers to our students, create more community outreach programs designed to engage youth and young adults, more mental health and diversity training, and increase the pool of minority candidates for all of our city workforce. Speaking about our school resource officers and the community partnership with both of our school districts and Superintendents John Carmelo and Antonio Abatelli, a highly successful 2020 Troy Graduates Car Parade. It began with a phone call from former council member Deborah Garrett, and it grew from there. I am pleased to announce this extremely successful event will be happening again this year. Due to COVID-19, last year, many Troy educational institutions either decided to hold commencement ceremonies virtually or postpone to a later date. We're not sure about the upcoming year's commencements. However, we saw an incredible community spirit, energy, and a bond throughout this event that I will never forget. As one graduate stated last year, waving from a car through town wasn't how I envisioned my high school graduation, but it was one car ride my family and I will never forget. Councilmember Ash McPherson and I will also once again be sponsoring a resolution declaring June as Graduates Month in the city of Troy. And we look forward to working with everyone to make this event an even bigger success this year. This past year, the City Council fought hard to ensure our aging firehouses had clean showers, working toilets, and every other day necessities. We also worked to implement a second set of turnout gear for our firefighters. As many folks recall, last year, an RFP was to go out for design services for either the present location or relocation for the Berg Firehouse on 5th Ave. This was delayed due to COVID-19, but was awarded this past fall. We are hopeful to see this project move forward this year. Our city-run ambulance continues to be the gold standard, responding to mutual aid throughout our county. While I strongly support sharing of services, I am very concerned that mutual aid calls for advanced life support to Petersburg, Hoosick Falls, out past the Tom Hannock Reservoir and East Greenbush, to name a few, are stretching our resources too thin. The total call time for these responses can be up to 2 hours, putting pressure on other firehouses, increasing response times for emergencies. This is a major concern, and I wholeheartedly support the mayor and Fire Chief McMahon's proposal to study the demands on our fire department today compared to 20 years ago. Thank you to all of our Troy emergency responders for putting your lives on the line to keep our residents safe and provide critical care to Troy residents throughout this pandemic and always. Whether it be our crews out in the field or our office workers, I would also like to give a shout out to all the city workers who continue to work hard during this pandemic. The City Council is committed to continuing to provide you the tools to safely and effectively do your job. While some of the initiatives I outlined last year for the City Council were put on hold due to COVID-19, many major revitalization efforts happen in our neighborhoods. It's truly inspiring to see our residents' passion and dedication in working to improve the quality of life in our neighborhoods. I have lived my whole life in this city. I love this city, I breathe it, and I am every day reminded of what a tremendous community we are privileged to call home. Whether it be Byrne, North Central, Sickaway, downtown, East Side, and South Troy, I will continue to work to make us one Troy, bringing pride back to our neighborhoods. I continue to work with my council colleagues to spread that momentum from downtown into our neighborhoods and focus on reducing the tax burden, improving public safety, garbage pickup and street paving, and restoring or removing blighted buildings. Our people in our neighborhoods make our city great. It is our neighborhoods, all unique, all special, that make the city the greatest city in our state. The City Council Neighborhood Improvement Program continues to be a huge success toward building partnerships and pride in our neighborhoods and revitalizing one block at a time on every corner in this city. These small grants build the velocity of positive momentum with economic development, recreation, and revitalization in our neighborhoods. There were several inspiring 2020 Council NIP projects, and I would like to dedicate a portion of this address to recognize these projects and very special Troy residents. 11th Ward Veterans Memorial in Little Italy installed flags, lights, and flowers for 3 memorials. Thanks, Sam Chapone and crew. A really neat Prospect Park Disc 9-hole golf course, Greg Kurtz, Sam Wexler, Phi Sigma Kappa. North Central Community Solidarity Group, 10th Street Park bleachers. Thank you to Frank Mabin and team. Lansingburg Historical Society, signage, lighting for the Melville House. Thank you, John Ward, Tony Dickinson, and folks. East Side Neighborhood Group, seasonal plants, planters at the Ward 5 Monument. Shout out, Kathleen Cassidy, Mary Herrick, John Van Alstyne folks. Freer Park Conservancy in Sickaway, a new flagpole and slide at the North Lake Playground, Brian Sano, Bron Van Heuven, and team. Friends of Lots of Hope in South Troy, Plants for Lots of Hope, Diane Bell and folks. Team Hero, picnic tables, grill, painting, and flowers for the 3rd and Canal Park in South Troy. Jerry Ford and Team Hero, big shout out. Troy and Bloom, fertilizer, mulch, soil for planters, Maureen Gavazzi and team. 9/11 Memorial Park in the Berg, flowers for the park, Betty DeNovo and team. Thank you to all the volunteers. You all rock. Additional thanks to the City Council Subcommittee, Council Members Gully, Steele, and Cummings. In my legislative address last year, I have 4 words regarding the South Troy pool. Open it this year. We opened it, and the council worked with the mayor to waive the swimming pool fees for city residents last year. I will once again sponsor legislation to waive the pool fees for city residents for the upcoming season, and I look forward to working with my council colleagues to enact this legislation. Now let's move forward with the Lansingburg pool. This pool is more complicated than the South Troy pool, as it will be a newly constructed pool in a different location in the Knickerbocker Park. 1 year ago this month, the City Council approved a 25-year agreement with the Knickerbocker Association, and the collaboration continues to thrive. The Knickerbocker Park Board of Trustees recently announced plans to construct a new playground in the park with a groundbreaking this spring. This partnership with the board is key to turning the park into a major destination. Additionally, Future use of the Knickerbocker Ice Rink facility is being explored. Stay tuned. As part of the 2021 initiatives, I look forward to working with my council colleagues, Ash McPherson and Gully, on an Adopt an Alley and Adopt a Gateway initiative, partnering with residents, businesses, and neighborhood associations for alley and gateway cleanups. In addition, I look forward to working with Council Members Steele, Zaluski, Cummings, and McDermott on a neighborhood cleanup program. Stay tuned for details on these initiatives. The 2021 NIP applications are available and due back April 12th. I'm looking forward to continuing working with all of you, and we hope to see even more great projects this year. Speaking of neighborhood projects, we have a true jewel that has not really received enough attention over the years, and that's our neighborhood pocket parks. That's why late last year, the City Council worked with the mayor to authorize $2 million to upgrade and improve our pocket parks over the next 2 years. The long-awaited 7th Ave Park in North Central is nearly completed. In addition to the park's official opening this year, neighbors and residents requested and are very excited about the future naming of the park as the Geneva Pompey Park and the pavilion named in memory of Reverend Clark. I look forward to working with the mayor and the deputy mayor on this proposal, and the council will be sponsoring a resolution in the coming weeks to move this project forward. As mentioned earlier, senseless gun violence brought great heartache to our community this past year. We all grieved, shocked by the senseless murder of 11-year-old Ishawn Davis, who was shot and killed on Old 6th Ave near the park. Soon after Ishawn's death, I met with his parents and family, who expressed the desire that Ishawn's brief life and his infectious optimism and spirit not be forgotten. The City Council unanimously passed my resolution to pay respect to the family of Ishawn in this grief and to memorialize the life of Ishawn. We must commit to take action to ensure Ishawn did not die in vain. In the upcoming year, a neighborhood meeting with residents to discuss the placement of the memorial and needed proposed upgrades and improvements to the Old 6th Ave Park will move forward. As some folks may know, as part of the City Council's Think Differently initiative, I was pleased to work hard with the Epilepsy Association to get our first handicap swing in Troy. And I'm pleased to see more installed at other city parks, such as 112th Street and the Byrne. However, more needs to be done to make our parks, streets, and facilities more accessible, user-friendly, and inclusive, much more. As the mother of a son with special needs, this is an initiative near and dear to my heart. In July of 2018, the mayor and the ADA compliance officer began a project to collaborate with local disability advocates and residents to explore ways by conducting a comprehensive review and develop a transition plan to improve access by removing physical barriers which limits access of individuals with disabilities to our municipal services, programs, and activities. Unfortunately, this initiative has stalled. I am imploring the mayor to reinvigorate this effort and stand ready to join him to continue this program and progress. There are so many residents working so hard to keep their properties neat. And as many folks know, it takes only one neglected residence or business to blight a neighborhood. A new initiative Council Members Gully, Ash McPherson, and I are proposing is a quality of life task force, which would hold negligent property owners more accountable. This task force would be a formalized detail unit comprised of a community police officer, patrol officer, code enforcement, litter patrol, public works, and any other city staff necessary. This task force would tackle our neighborhood quality of life issues 1 or 2 blocks at a time, all throughout our city. Additionally, the task force would provide enforcement and education. The goal is to encourage landlords, residents, and businesses to take pride in their neighborhood and partner with the city to revitalize our neighborhoods. Over the years, I was proud to work with struggling waterfront communities as they were revitalized by utilizing the waterfront as the front door to economic development and recreation. This is truly a passion of mine. Working with hundreds of communities statewide through my roles as Canal Corporation Director and the Hudson River Valley Greenway Executive Director, I have the honor to partner and promote waterfront and economic development projects, water and land trails, and protect our natural and cultural resources. We have a national treasure and majestic river, the Hudson River, in our own backyard, stretching 7 miles, connecting South Troy to downtown, to North Central, to the Berg. And it's incredibly rewarding to see our city's waterfront transformation begin. Last year, we celebrated the completion of the $26 million Troy Seawall Stabilization Project, funded in large part by FEMA to mitigate future flooding. This waterfront initiative and other projects using the Hudson River as the front door to economic development, water and land trails, and dovetailing into revitalization into our neighborhoods will continue to move forward. Outlining a few of these projects which are underway for 2021 from South Troy to the Berg, South Troy Industrial Road, the demolition and redevelopment and Taylor Apartments. One Monument Square continues to move forward. Moving north, the completion of the new marina and docks, Ingalls Ave Boat Launch, in Lansingburg. This is all connection. Powers Park upgrades continue. And I'll continue to work with the administration to connect this area to the waterfront. With the closure of Price Chopper last year, it left us with an opportunity to reimagine our Berg waterfront. The farmers market's temporary move into Price Chopper is one great outcome for this building and its proximity to the waterfront. Forums took place in Lansingburg prior to COVID-19 to create more accessibility, amenities, economic development, and connections into our neighborhoods with a vision of a Lansingburg gateway and waterfront development. It's time to capitalize on this idea and move it into the next phase beyond a vision. These projects don't happen overnight. And it's what I call the 3 Ps outside of funding: patience, persistence, and partnerships. I've seen firsthand how balancing economic development with recreation and historic preservation can provide rebirth and reinvigoration to a municipality and its neighborhood. Let's stay the course and make this happen in Troy. As I've said many times, Troy, our water is a jewel. We have what I believe is the best drinking water in the state. Phase 1 of the $40 million, 43,000 linear foot water transmission line upgrade from the Tom Hannock to the city's water filtration plant will break ground this year. This massive public works infrastructure project will continue to provide safe drinking water for Troy residents and other municipal customers, opening the door to expanding service to Hoosick Falls and other communities. These infrastructure upgrades happen when the mayor and the council work together. Last year, the council and mayor began working on a 311 system, which is a citizen reporting system allowing residents to report issues, potholes, garbage, trash pickup, traffic signal not working, and other reporting. Due to COVID-19, this project was put on hold, which I'm hopeful it gets back on track this year. I am also requesting the administration seek an emergency notification system of text and calls and emails, as many school districts presently have. The City Council approved 2 new litter patrol officers, and with mobile trail cams will hold code violators and illegal dumpers accountable. The council is continuing to work with the recycling coordinator and our sustainability task force for a new and more aggressive education and outreach program on the need to recycle. While our present recycling participation percentage improved, it is still dismal, and we need to encourage more residents to participate. It's not just an obvious benefit to the environment, but it will save money spent at the transfer station. And I know many of my council colleagues receive calls regularly inquiring about the Alamo. I'm excited that working with the mayor, we are in the final steps of reopening the Alamo. Disposal of leaf bags, stumps, and branches will be available. Also, another exciting project is a new mulch program spearheaded by the recycling coordinator. We are inching closer to getting this program approved by DEC, where residents and neighborhood associations will be able to come and pick up mulch wood at the Alamo site. Just last week, the council unanimously also authorized the mayor to enter into an intermunicipal shared services agreement with North Greenbush and Bethlehem to hold 4 hazardous waste collection and disposal days with the assistance of a DEC grant. This intermunicipal partnership gives residents 4 days as opposed to the 1 or 2 days. The days are scheduled for April, June, August, and October. Information will be forthcoming on the exact dates and details. The council also worked with the administration to get designated a green energy community and is presently working with the administration and Siemens to implement a long-awaited LED lighting program, which will benefit our city both financially and environmentally. This evening, the City Council will be acting on the contracts with National Grid to begin the implementation of converting all of our streetlights to LED. This is another step to continue to improve a healthy and better environment for our neighborhoods. While COVID-19 has hindered our ability over the last year to meet in person, the City Council and Clerk's Office continues to increase our outreach effort through social media, live YouTube, Zoom council meetings, committee meetings and workshops, public hearings, and other avenues to be one of the most transparent and open city councils in the Capital Region. And so today we look forward, made stronger and more united by the bonds we forged in the crisis of the past year. We all cried together as an extended family with the tragedy of the senseless loss of Aishan, and sadly, Aishan was not alone. Neighbors lifted each other up to meet new and unexpected challenges. With the loss of life and livelihood, COVID has changed our lives, but it has not dimmed our hope. It has reaffirmed our strength. Throughout, we have come together like never before. And I have never been prouder or more optimistic about our future. This year proved the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And working together, we can and we will bring pride back to our neighborhoods. Thank you, be safe, and God bless.
Okay. Did we lose her? Where'd she go?
Just give us 2 minutes. We're having a little technical setup. Hold on.
Okay, well, in the meantime, I'll just address a couple points that were made. Those pay as you throw. I think, well, first of all, I just want to mention that that the legislative response is, City Charter C-34 makes it clear that the council president delivers the response, but it's supposed to include the council's legislative initiatives for the year to come. And I think Council President Mantello indicated that pay as you throw, that she's opposed to it. But the majority of the council, this is a legislative initiative for us. So that's why we should have discussed it before putting it out there that pay as you throw, that that there's opposition to it. We're going to work with the administration to implement a pay as you throw program because it is the right thing to do. And we all agree that we do want to increase recycling across the city. So
hi, everyone.
That's definitely something that we need to do. And also what was not mentioned was that we allocated funding in the budget for not one, but two youth services specialists. So, the money that the council president was talking about for community police, one community police officer was actually allocated to two youth services specialists, because we wanted to try and shift the focus a little bit from policing to taking care of our youth, and getting to the core of what so many of us agree is the problem, is that we're losing our youth too early, and we want to invest more in them. So we talked about that during the budget process, but that's another point where I think that the majority would disagree with that statement, and possibly councilperson Steele.
Okay, Council Member Zaluski, I'd be happy if, in the discussion, we can get into that. We took a roll, the council president's address, public forum. Mara, do we have anyone signed up?
No.
Okay, we have Kathy Sheen with us, and as many folks know, this month is Women's History Month, and we invite Kathy from the Rensselaer County Historical Society. Thank you so much for joining us, Kathy, and take it away. And thank you for always being on call. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you all for inviting me to speak. I always have some fun tidbit to tell you about. And yes, it is Women's History Month, but I wanted to tell you just really briefly too about a wonderful grant that we got from the Museum Association of New York. That is a part technology grant working on projects for social justice. And I'll be working with seniors, juniors and seniors, so 11th grade social studies and 12th grade civics. And what they are going to be studying was redlining in the 1930s, and then the urban renewal movement and how those shaped our city, what lessons we've learned from that, and how we can move forward. And so I'm going to be, you all are going to be thrown under the proverbial bus with me because a lot of what's going to happen, and this is a long-term project, it's a 2-year project. So at some point they are going to be interviewing the council persons from whatever district that these students are in. So stay tuned for that. But we're really excited. It also has given a great opportunity with being able to get technology. As you know, all that is so expensive, and it's been really exciting. And just one more thing, I have to just tell you how really exciting it was for me. COVID has been terrible in so many ways, and yet has been really interesting. And one of the things as being historian, I was able to break in through to Troy Middle School, excuse me. That's what happens when you live for your life. Troy Middle School. And I addressed the entire student body last Thursday for Black History Month, talking about Troy and the Underground Railroad. So it was some 600 plus students that were in school, as well as kids zooming from home. And it was great. And there was a great feedback, and it was really exciting for me. So there's really very positive things about all of us sitting here in these different spaces to do that. So I just wanted to share that all with you too. So tonight I wanted to just talk about two women. I do not have face, we talk about every face and every story. And I don't have any images of these two extraordinary Black women, actually. So we're kind of, wrapping up Black History Month and going right into women. So I think it's appropriate to talk about these two women. They're sisters, Mary and Ada Boseman, coming from a long line of abolitionists that were born in the early 1840s. Mary became an assistant teacher at what was the colored school, which was over on State Street, ultimately became the William Rich School. It was literally right next door to where the current police station is. And she then went to New York City, where she married a man by the name of Keith Smith, kind of disappeared. But her sister Ada is truly interesting. She was distinguished for proficiency in spelling in her school as early as 1862. It's only 1862. And although Troy's school district at that time didn't allow students of the colored school to continue their education, Ada took the high school entrance exam and was accepted as a student at Troy High School. So she graduated from Troy High in the summer of 1865, and she read her essay that was entitled Difficulties of Spur to Genius. That was the title, which described her struggles as a Black student and growing up here in Troy. So in time for the upcoming school year, she became licensed as a second assistant grammar teacher. She began her teaching career at the Colored School in 1866, and just before they opened their new building on State Street, they renamed it the William Rich School after the noted Troy abolitionist. Ada continued to work under her sister Mary until 1868 when Mary resigned, and then Ada was voted in at the first assistant position. Including in her academic careers, she also was quite an accomplished artist, and she had rare artistic abilities, according to a Buffalo newspaper, which exhibited some of her pictures. She taught at the William Rich School until 1876, and then she moved to Washington, D.C., where she continued to teach, and then eventually moved to Philadelphia, where she married, and she died at the age 68. And they actually brought her body back to Troy. She's buried up in Oakwood Cemetery, along with her sister Mary and her parents. The other woman, again, we don't have, well, there's a very, very grainy photograph, but it would never even show up through here, is another teacher. Her name was Evanetta Hare. She was born in 1863. And when she died in 1938, the Troy Record noted, and I quote, that no woman in Troy was more active than Miss Hare in the long fight for the rights of women to vote. She had spoken at many public gatherings on the subject of suffrage, wrote many articles. She graduated from Troy High School in 1881, began a long career in education in the Troy school system. She became principal of school too in 1892 and retired in 1933. In addition to her suffrage activities, she helped found the Rensselaer County Political Equality Club and the Troy Political Equality Club, and was a leader in the movement to pass state legislation giving better conditions for school teachers, including pensions and increased salaries. If you are a teacher or were relatives of teachers and knew of your couple of generations back, not only were salaries really awful, women were not allowed to be married for a long time. You couldn't be married and be a teacher. So some teachers were married in secret. Nurses also, by the way, couldn't be married either. As one of the prime organizers of the Troy Suffrage Party, Miss Hare was tireless in meeting with and speaking to potential supporters of the passage of the suffrage amendment, both in 1915 and 1917, which, by the way, Rensselaer County voted it down twice. Her arguments stressed the logical nature of giving women the right to vote if men would think the issue through in a balanced way. In her own words, she said, and I quote, "All suffragists will agree with you when you say every male voter should show his right to vote by familiarizing himself with the arguments for and against, and by voting not from temporary impulse or from whim. If he does this, if he considers only arguments for and against and no extraneous influences, he will be fair to the women of his state and give them the vote. For this war," and of course she was referring to World War I, "in which we are engaged has demolished every argument against women's suffrage. The woman in the home argument, the woman cannot fight argument, the woman does not know enough argument, the danger of feminizing argument." So she too is buried up in Oakwood Cemetery, and shameless plug, I'll be doing a women's suffrage tour of Oakwood this summer. So it will be nice. We'll be socially distanced, so I hope you will join me. So that's just a couple of women for Women's History Month, and thank you for giving me a couple of minutes to speak.
You know what, Kathy? Cheers.
Thank you.
You always seem to bring the history to real life. Every time you speak, you're such a moving speaker, and we appreciate you so much. It's history that'll never be lost, and Troy is rich, for sure.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Kathy.
Have a great night, and thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
All right, we will move into the business. Don't allow. All right. No one is here for the public forum. There were a couple items in the presentation of the agenda, just so folks are aware, that were passed earlier. On the finance, they will be put on the regular meeting. And I will take a motion to approve the minutes. Actually, at the finance, we did not do that. Councilmember Zaluski, I just noticed
That
that.
is correct.
Yes, so we can do it here. I will make a motion to approve the minutes from the finance meeting back in February.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, Mara, let's take it
Motion
away.
carries 7-0.
Thank you. And bear with me, I just have to pull this up. All right. I will also make a motion to approve the minutes from the February regular meeting.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Motion carries 7-0.
Perfect. No local laws. Ordinance 9.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2021 general fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do we have a second?
Second.
Again,
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. This is the software for the new dog licensing, BIS software, which Mara is going to bring in. Double the dog licenses, right, Mara?
That's our hope. We'll see how it goes.
Exactly.
We expect to be able to roll it out within the next 4 weeks or so. We just had to do an update for the licenses, and now we're working on the dog license update.
That's great, Mara. Great. Did council members have any questions for Mara? Any concerns, discussion? Okay.
Council President?
Yes,
Yeah, I
council
mean,
member.
I don't have any concerns. I've talked about this before already. I think there's multiple solutions, but there's that saying, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And in this case, I think this is a good start for us. So I'll be supporting it.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance 9 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 10.
Ordinance amending the capital projects fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion?
Council President,
Yes, Councilmember Ash McPherson.
I think we have to do an amendment on this. Because the wording,
No, this is the one, it was amended at the finance, and I had forgotten to send out the amendment. I sent it out late. So it has already been amended.
okay,
Correct. Yep. So it was amended at finance. It is on the regular meeting, but thank you.
okay,
And Mara caught it, if you recall, a few days ago. This is the old 6th Ave. There's going to be some upgrades there. And as I mentioned earlier, a memorial of some sort for Aishan. And we are now creating a line item for the NIP funding, the leftover. So, all right. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance 10 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Okay, ordinance 11.
Ordinance to appropriate funds in the 2021 general fund from the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Violence Against Women grant as a subrecipient. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
second,
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance 11 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 12.
Ordinance to appropriate funds in the 2021 general fund from the U.S. Department of Justice, federal year 19 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, fiscal year, I'm sorry. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance 12 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 13, we'll do a motion and second. We do have to amend this, but first, ordinance 13.
Ordinance authorizing and directing sales of city-owned real property by the proposal sale application method. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. I will make a motion to delete, withdraw Tom Gato on 9th Street and also the 2 Tyler Streets due to drainage. The potential owner has decided not to purchase the property. So we will take off 101.23-5-10, 111.52-5-6, and 11245-16-1. There's a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Councilmember Zaluski. Discussion on the amendment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? On the
Amendment
amendment,
passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
sorry, Mara. On the amended ordinance, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion on the amended ordinance.
Yeah, Council President,
Yes,
this is really
Councilmember
just a point of order. We actually don't have to motion once we've amended an ordinance, is because the original ordinance is already on the table. Once it's amended, you can just call the vote on the ordinance. You don't have to motion again. The original motion is still in place. The amendment is just a subsidiary motion, that's all, by Robert's rules.
I would question that only because first you have to motion and second to at least get the council to amend, and then the motion to amend. I mean, we can go back and forth, but anyway, on the amended ordinance, we have a motion, we have a second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance 13 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
All right, ordinance 14.
Ordinance authorizing the City of Troy to accept grant funding from the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for infrastructure work on the Troy seawall and amending the Capital Projects Fund budget to appropriate funding from said grant. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion. I just want to, I know that the deputy mayor and quite a bit of staff worked extremely hard to try to get some FEMA funding, grant funding, and this is just more to offset the cost of the bonding. So great job. Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance 14 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Okay, ordinance 15.
Ordinance authorizing settlement of claim to wit Geico Insurance Company, ASO Sandra Gall, plaintiff, versus the City of Troy Department of Public Works and Michael Van Ness, defendants. Troy City Court Case Index Number CV4427-18. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Mara?
I'm sorry, I thought I was unmuted.
That's okay.
Ordinance 15 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
If I had $1 for every time over the last year somebody said you're on mute. Resolution 12.
Resolution appointing commissioners of deeds for the city of Troy, Council President Mantello.
Okay, I'll take a motion and second, and then we'll amend. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion on that.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. I am going to make a motion to amend Resolution 12 to add. We have Bobby Burns, Estelle Burns, Vito Ciccarelli, Carol Claren Weaver, Gail Cole, Margarita Dolan, Anthony Pepino, Irene Soriento, Vittorio Carlo Soriento. I made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Councilmember Zaluski. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? On the amended resolution, is there a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Ash McPherson motions. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember McDermott. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Resolution 12 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes. And I'll just comment for the public, if you do not see your name on this list, it's because you did not send me a notarized application or your proof of residence. So please send that to me as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mara. I know a couple people did, and you requested additional information, and I figured that's why a couple of folks didn't make it, but thank you. Resolution 13.
Resolution reporting the standard workday for certain elected and appointed employees. Council President Mantello.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Resolution 13 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 14.
Resolution proclaiming March 2021 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month in the city of Troy, sponsored by the entire city council.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. I'm just going to read this quick. Whereas it is the custom of this legislative body to recognize official months that are set aside to increase awareness of serious issues that affect the lives of the citizens of Troy. And whereas the City Council continues to be committed to the Think Differently initiative, which encourages inclusiveness and accessibility for persons with developmental disabilities and special needs by encouraging all citizens to focus on the inherent potential of every individual, regardless of different ability. And whereas as the families, friends, neighbors, and co-workers of individuals with developmental disabilities have long known through experience, all people have unique abilities and given proper opportunities can make valuable contributions to community life. And whereas the most effective way to further this awareness is by promoting everyone's active participation in community activities and affairs in order to foster an environment where there is an openness to learn about and acknowledge each individual's contributions. And whereas citizens with developmental disabilities must be afforded opportunities to function as independently and productively as possible in our community. And whereas the City Council desires to encourage all citizens to support opportunities for individuals with developmental disabilities in our community, including full access to education, housing, employment, and recreational activities. And whereas the City Council desires to encourage all citizens to get to know someone with a disability and to recognize that a person with a developmental disability can do like you. And whereas communities are just stronger when everyone participates. Now therefore be it resolved that the Troy City Council hereby designates and proclaims the month of March 2021 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month in the city of Troy. Thank you, everyone. We have a motion, a second. Further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 14 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 15.
Resolution proclaiming March 2021 as Women's History Month in the city of Troy by the entire city council.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, a tie, Councilmember Gully. Discussion. Mara, do you mind reading this?
Sure, give me a minute.
Thank you.
Whereas it is the custom of this legislative body to recognize special months, acknowledge and celebrate individuals and events of historic significance in order to add to the vitality, sensitivity, understanding, and inspiration of the diverse people of this great city of Troy. And whereas last year was the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, giving women the right to vote. And whereas women of every economic, ethnic, and religious background have made significant contributions that are reflected in our cultural, social, educational, industrial, and economic institutions, and can have contributed in many ways, including as writers, educators, scientists, heads of state, politicians, civil rights crusaders, artists, entertainers, businesswomen, military personnel, aviators, entrepreneurs, philanthropists, health professionals, engineers, religious leaders, judges, lawyers, law enforcement personnel, athletes, mothers, nurturers, and as the foundations of our families and communities. And whereas women who have become part of New York's lasting heritage by fighting against stereotypes, prejudice, and seemingly insurmountable obstacles include Sojourner Truth, 1797 to 1883, former slave and famous activist; Harriet Tubman, 1920 to 1913, best known conductor of the Underground Railroad and promoter of Black education and women's rights; suffragettes Susan B. Anthony, 1820 to 1906, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, 1815 to 1902; world-renowned folk artist Grandma Moses, 1860 to 1961; famed reporter Nellie Bly, 1867 to 1922; Sybil Luddington, 1761 to 1839, known as the female Paul Revere; Barbara McClintock, 1901 to 1992, Nobel Prize-winning genetic scientist and First Lady of the World; Eleanor Roosevelt, 1884 to 1962. And whereas the city of Troy and New York State have been and continue to be the home to many distinguished women who have made their mark in history as the first in their field to succeed, including women such as Lady Deborah Moody, first woman grantee for land ownership in the New World; Kate Mullaney, an Irish immigrant, in February of 1864, at age 25, organized, along with her fellow workers, the first women's labor union in the country, the Collar Laundry Union, to improve working conditions and wages through successful direct actions; Elizabeth Blackwell, the first female physician in the United States, I should say; Linda Richards, America's first trained nurse; Emma Willard, founder of the first endowed institution of education for women; Madam C.J. Walker, hairdressing entrepreneur, Harlem leader, and first self-made female millionaire in the United States; Buffalonian Louise Blanchard Bethune, first female architect, professional female architect in the nation; Lucille Ball, actor and president of Desilu Productions, the first woman to lead a major Hollywood production company; Catherine Demont Davis, New York City Correction Commissioner, first woman to head a major city agency; Winifred Edgerton Merrill, the first American woman to receive a PhD in mathematics; Dr. Mary Edwards Walker, the first and only woman to be presented with the Congressional Medal of Honor; and Belva Lockwood, the first woman to practice law before the United States Supreme Court. And whereas the Troy City Council recognizes that the city of Troy and New York State are home to countless women who are the strong and colorful threads that are vital to the fabric of our rich heritage and who have contributed to and continue the advance of our culture through their traditional and non-traditional roles in society, now therefore be it resolved that the Troy City Council hereby designates and proclaims the month of March 2021 as Women's History Month in the city of Troy.
Thank you, Mara. We have a motion, we have a second discussion.
Yeah, Council President.
Yes, council members.
Who did the research for this? Where the list of names, the years, all of that, who actually put that together?
I and 2 years ago, council member December added, I want to say the second to last paragraph. So council member December added some, and it's just grown over the past few years.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's a good resolution. All right, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 15 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 16.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Rensselaer County and the city of Rensselaer to allocate and distribute local sales and use tax revenue. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zalewski. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson, you're on mute, but she did say it to me. Discussion?
Nope.
All in
Yeah,
favor?
Council President.
Yes, Councilmember Zalewski.
So on this, again, I already supported this in finance, but I think the deputy mayor might have had some info. I think, Monica, you mentioned that you had some information about this one that you wanted to talk about, or did I misunderstand you?
Actually, the mayor heard from OSC, so I think he has some information. We all have the information, but I'll let the mayor say it.
Oh, great. Okay, thanks.
All right, cool.
Thank you, Deputy. Yes, I reached out to OSC. They do not have data on smaller than a zip code level. So there is no data for us to determine what revenue we would generate if we stood on our own with respect to sales tax generated within the city of Troy. Obviously, the 12180 zip code extends well into portions of, or most, if not all, of Brunswick, where we have a lot of commercial development on Route 7. 12182 also extends beyond the city boundaries. So that's the most granular they can provide to us. So there's no way that we could ascertain whether we would make out better if we did this on our own.
Mayor, I guess just to follow up on that.
Councilmember Zalewski.
Is it your sense? I mean, my gut tells me that I think this is a good deal for us. Is it your sense that some of the other communities in Rensselaer County are generating, especially per capita? I mean, we have 50,000 residents. I don't think East Greenbush and North Greenbush have that level of population, but I'm guessing that they generate a lot of tax revenue. So I just, is it your sense that we're probably okay with this as it's structured right now?
Well, we wouldn't put it to the council if we didn't think we were okay with it. We weren't, Andy and Monica negotiated with the county based on historical precedent. We can't opine that we're getting the short end of the stick here. There's no precise methodology to calculate this, so it is going to depend an awful lot on historical precedent.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Cummings.
First, Mayor, are you able to, had you received that data from OSC, or could you request that for the 12180 and 12182 zip codes, just to get a little bit more data?
Sure, I have not requested it, but I can go ahead and do that.
Okay, great. And then I had asked a question a while back just about what the process would look like were we to go it alone. Obviously, I'm not advocating for that at this point, but I think it is important to be informed as we make these decisions. Do you have any more details about what that would entail?
I don't. I'm not familiar with that process. We could, I know Saratoga Springs did it some years ago.
I could imagine,
we could speak to them.
We're going to have to get a lot more data, but I could imagine there being a reasonable concept around going it alone, and then maybe even setting a slightly lower sales tax rate, such that we can encourage folks to stop dodging our property taxes by moving out to the suburbs. But obviously those are broader economic questions that we're going to need a lot more data to get our teeth around. For now, I think this agreement makes sense as a stopgap, but I think there obviously be good to start doing the work now to be prepared moving forward.
Thank you, Councilmember Cummings. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 16 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 17.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation to purchase city streetlights. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion? I just want to say this is something that's been worked on for a long time. And as I mentioned earlier in the response and address, this is certainly going to save money while becoming more energy efficient. So thank you for all who worked on this. And please keep us apprised as it moves along. Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Resolution 17 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 18.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a license agreement with Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation for customer-owned street and area lighting attachments to company utility poles and structures. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Resolution 18 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
And resolution 19.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a real property tax agreement with Rensselaer County. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Resolution 19 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
All right, once again, thank you. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion, Councilman, sorry, Councilmember Steele.
Yeah, I just wanted an opportunity to just expand a bit on Councilman Zaluski's earlier comments. I wouldn't want the public to think that your address really did speak for the entire council. It's unfortunate the way our charter reads that the council president can actually represent the minority of the council and the majority of the council has no input. We were not able to see your draft. So I would like to say that I wouldn't want folks to think that you necessarily were speaking for the entire council. I would also suggest that if you, in those initiatives that you are opposing, such as pay-as-you-throw, I think the full council would really like to hear your solutions as alternatives to that program. And I would look forward to that. And then I would also say that I was very disappointed that you did not acknowledge one of the, I feel, major council initiatives this year, which was the establishment of the Reimagined Community Justice, Troy Community Justice Work Group, which has been an exemplary example of citizen involvement in a grassroots effort as we, as a nation, address community policing and equity in policing. And the group continues to meet and is now developing its legacy steps. And I think as a council, we should be very proud of really being in the forefront in Troy, because we kicked off that initiative right after the executive order of the governor. So I think we should acknowledge pride. Thank you.
Thank you. Duly noted. Just for folks out there, I did send an email to all of the council about now 2.5, 3 weeks ago. Unfortunately, the only ones that responded were Councilmember Gully, Councilmember Ash McPherson, and Councilmember Steele did mention the neighborhood improvement program effort for neighborhood cleanup. So saying that, I did give an opportunity for everyone, including Council Members Lusky and McDermott and Cummings, and no one got back to me. Saying that, many hours were put into this response and legislative address. It promoted unity. It promoted many things that the council unanimously passed, working in bipartisan manner. We're not going to agree on everything. We know that. And you know what? That's the beauty of democracy. But that wasn't what this was about. It's the council president's address. If any council member wants to move forward with initiatives, we all have our right to do that. We all have one vote and we all have a right, and we should be promoting initiatives and representing our constituents appropriately. So saying that, I try to do the best I can. And unfortunately, sometimes, politics enters the picture. I didn't play that game tonight with the legislative address, and I'm really proud where it went. I'm proud where it's going. And I look forward to working with all of you on many of the initiatives.
Council President.
I would differ with that.
Okay. Well, I would take a motion to adjourn if anyone would like to entertain that.
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Cummings.
Sorry, before we adjourn, just in absence of having fully gone over the vacancy list today, I did just want to, for the folks watching, remind folks that there are several of our vacancies that are looking to be filled right now. So please visit troyny.gov/jobs. That includes those 2 youth services officers, youth services coordinators that we mentioned earlier. That will be incredibly important to activating our parks and engaging our youth in productive activities in the city. So looking forward to some good people joining the staff and helping move those programs forward. Again, that's troyny.gov/jobs.
It's a good twist, and it is very important, Councilmember Cummings. Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion
Yeah, I'll make
to
a motion.
adjourn.
Motion, Councilmember Gully. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion?
Council President.
Yes, Councilmember.
I just want to second Councilperson Steele's comments on that. I did make some comments after the speech when there was some downtime and everyone was staring at each other. So I spoke about this a little bit. But yeah, I get that there's politics involved in all of that. And I understand that the charter has given us this, interesting scenario where there's a council majority of one party and a council president another. I feel like we've navigated that very well, actually. I have no complaints with, overall how this has been working. But, I sent you a request for, to see a transcript of the speech ahead of time, just to make sure that, that what you were conveying was the sense of the council. I know you worked hard on it, and I appreciate that. That was a long speech, and it takes time to write speeches as someone who's done it myself. But again, because of the fact that there's a little push and pull here, I just wanted an opportunity to let my caucus, review the comments, because I would have certainly said, when you're saying, well, I'm opposed to pay as you throw, I would have requested something a little bit different, like, you personally are opposed, but this council as a whole, again, when the address is supposed to be about council initiatives, again, the city charter says that. And hang on, I think I'm speaking.
You do.
But pay as you throw is something that at least the majority here has committed to. I believe everyone on the majority wants to move forward. We all agreed that we didn't want to push it out quickly, that the city, put it out there and didn't give us enough time to inform our residents. But, we're working with the administration and especially with, Renee, to implement something that's going to increase recycling across the city, because you talked about it. You talked about the need for more recycling. Like, it's something we all agree on. And, pay as you throw, we believe, is a way to generate a massive amount of recycling, and again, to lower the tipping fees that the city pays. So it's definitely a legislative priority for us, and it's something that we do want to work with the mayor, the deputy mayor, our recycling coordinator on, and we want to get the word out to our residents ahead of time. We want to really get people educated on this, so folks aren't scared about this if it's as it was put out at the last minute. So something we want to do, we feel strongly about. And it's, we can disagree on it, but again, because the address is supposed to be council initiatives, it probably should have been brought up in that light.
That's not accurate. It is called the council president's response and legislative initiatives. I certainly have every right to state my position. I'm the council president. You want to run at large? Oh, you are running at large, but if you want to run for council president, do it in 2 years, Council Member Zaluski, have at it right now. And I know it burns the majority. I get it. The charter never, ever considered the council president being in the minority, but guess what? I'm the council president. I give the legislative response and address. I included many things that we worked on together. I think all in all, it was very, very inclusive, very bipartisan. We worked together in many, many aspects. We're going to continue working together. We're going to disagree, but guess what? The response and address is not going to please everyone. In my particular opposition against pay as you throw, I clearly stated it's my opinion, my opposition. I never spoke for any other council member. So if the majority wants to come out with a press release tomorrow or a statement, go for it. That's your right. But tonight was the council president's legislative response and address. I worked very hard. I think it turned out very good. A lot of bipartisanship, a lot of good initiatives in there. And guess what? You don't want to support them, don't. If you want to, go for it. But saying that, we have a motion, we have a second, further discussion. All in favor of adjourning?
All right, aye.
Aye. Opposed? Good night.